going on, guys? This is Tony. You guys have seen him in the video before where we did good tool guy versus bad tool guy. Sorry for not posting so much in the past weeks. We've had a lot going on. We had family come in town. We had to build this cool little studio. I hope you guys like it. It was a lot of fun to build this thing. We got some antiques on the wall. I got some more stuff coming that I'm going to make it even cooler, but we got it started. So today is kind of going to be like a podcasty thing, kind of a podcast style. And the reason is because Monday I started, I had a phone call from a guy that wanted to come have me show up to his shop, and it was the worst experience I've had in a lot of years. And Tony's a mechanic, so I kind of think, well, him and I are really good friends, and I think it would be pretty cool to have him give his bad tool guy stories, but like this way, and I'll give some of my bad customer, so to speak. So Monday I showed up to a shop, a guy that called me. I've never been there in my entire life. This guy calls me up, wants me to show up to his shop. Sure, okay, it's in my route. I've never been there, but let's do it. And I show up to this guy's shop, and during this whole coof thing, you know, you should be wearing a mask. And if you guys want to wear a mask, do it. You know, if you don't, don't.
Free country.
Free country. And so I'm not wearing a mask. And I show up to this guy's shop for the first time. And he's like, hey man, you need to be wearing a mask to come to my shop. And I don't even have a mask, so I just told him, I was like, well, I don't have a mask, and there's not a whole lot I can do. So he's a little bit upset, but he's like, okay, well, you know, I'll wear a mask and you can come into my shop. Okay, cool. He's got two pit bulls. As soon as I walk into his shop, these two pit bulls jump up on me. And I'm like, hey man, I own a pit bull, side thought, and I love them. However, you shouldn't really have some dogs jumping on a new guy, especially the tool guy. And he's telling me, oh, these guys, they're super cool, they're super chill. Well, either way, I got two pit bulls that I don't know on me. So, you know, like,
right. Getting fur on you. You're probably wearing black.
Yeah, of course. So that's kind of one of the things that had led me to this kind of conversation. Have you ever had any situation in a shop where you were, well, I know you have because we talked about it a little before, and that's how we got here. So what was your story that you had?
I had one real interesting experience with a tool guy coming down to a chrome socket set. I tried to get some chrome sockets warrantied from one of my old tool dealers and brought the sockets on the truck. I've never seen more thorough of an inspection of anything, and said that due to the square part of the socket where it goes on the ratchet being wallowed out a little bit, he was going to deem them unwarrantable or whatever.
Because he could tell that you use it
on an impact,
socket,
right.
Or impact wrench.
Right. And they sit right on top of the roll cart. First thing I grab, throw them right on the gun.
Yeah, go figure. So I've had as a tool guy, I've had some guys, they'll quite literally like try to go into an explanation of why they need a warranty. But me, I'm the kind of guy like, you know, time is money. I don't have time to really even care. I throw it in the bin and give you a new one. If you say it's broken, I'm taking your word for it. And there's few and far between guys that would they push the warranty, and they would like, oh, well, you know, this thing looks ugly. But it's very few and far between. So for me, it's easier to just swap it out. So whatever happened with that tool guy, did you guys end up getting a resolution, or did you just trade your stuff in for?
Well, we had some words right at the beginning. Real polite. I'd known the guy for a while, just through him coming to the shop every week. And, you know, I explained to him first that one of the reasons I started buying tools from him is because he was big pushing the warranty.
Yeah.
You know, lifetime this, lifetime that, no questions asked, something breaks, we replace it, we fix it.
Yeah.
And this actually happened to be almost the first thing I tried to warranty on the truck, and I got a pretty sour taste in my mouth with it.
How long was he a dealer? Just old guy or a new guy, or?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure, to be honest, but I real quickly jumped on the other tool truck when it came to the shop, which I hadn't really been on before, and had a much, much better experience on the truck.
Yeah.
Much better experience.
What brand was the guy that wouldn't warranty it, just out of curiosity?
Matco.
Matco?
Yep.
Go figure.
Yep.
I probably know the guy.
You probably do. You probably do.
But, you know, it is what it is. Some guys are like that. They don't want to ever... It's too hard to warranty stuff. You know what I mean? Like it's a challenge for them because it takes 5 minutes out of their day. I've watched actually. I know for a fact that one of my friends likes to bring home broken ratchets and then repair them and give it to you fixed the next week. And he'll just have like a bucket full of like stuff that he's got to take care of over the weekend. I'm like, dude, what are you doing with your time? How much free time do you have to bring stuff home to fix it? Like, I'd rather just repair it on the spot and move on. I couldn't even remember, half the ratchets that I've repaired in the day, or the week or whatever. So I couldn't imagine trying to remember whose ratchet that was.
And you fix them right on the truck.
I'll fix them right on the truck. I don't have time for that. I'll fix a streamlight right on the truck, Anything happens to a streamlight, I'll fix that thing. But it's mostly because I'm not going to remember it next week. And if I tell you that, I'm going to take care of it next week, or, the weekend or whatever, most likely I'll be like pulling up to the shop like, oh man, I forgot to get that taken care of.
Right,
then
right.
I'll fix it right there.
Right.
Because I know me. And I can't imagine another dealer being like, I'm going to just fix it on a Saturday.
Right.
You're supposed to go hang out and make podcasts.
Well, we're on the topic of warranty. What is the most, this is just something personally I've been wondering, what is the most common thing, because everyone always talks about ratchets, it seems like.
Yeah.
Other than a ratchet, what is the most common thing you see day to day that just needs a little thing here or there fixed-wise? Not broken handle, nothing like that. Something internal that might, fleek out.
So, when I was a Snap-on dealer, I repaired a lot of the ratchets. I think I've already covered that in a couple of my videos before, and that's just an honest thing. But as of right now, I can't tell if it's because I've sold a lot when I was a Snap-on dealer for 4 years. So I've only been a Matco guy for 2. So I've been half the time. So I don't know if like the ratchets being broken is because I sold more of them, but I've repaired a lot more. I'd probably say like 1 ratchet a day when I was a Snap-on dealer. When it comes to Matco, I've really realized that, and I hate to say this, but the factory really slacks on putting like grease and oil in their ratchets. So I hate grease in a ratchet. It just feels a little bit more gummy, and that was actually something that we had mentioned in a video before. And I had a couple customers that were like, why oil, not grease? Well, I guess I would put it this way, like when it comes to your rear end, you're not going to jam it full of grease unless you're a drag racer or something like that. That's an old drag racing thing I've heard. You're going to fill it with oil. And it's the same thing with the ratchet. It's spinning, fill it with oil. And that's just my personal opinion. Grease kind of picks up like dirt and gunk and stuff, and it gets real dirty.
Right.
The oil just kind of, it's fluid, So, one thing I've noticed as a Matco guy is they really kind of slack. They don't like to put anything in those gears. It's like dry in there. So usually I'll pop it open and it'll look fine, and I'll put a little oil in there or something like that. I'll replace it, then put oil in it, and then I'll never have a problem again. So I'd probably say that. When I was a Snap-on dealer too, I fixed a lot of screwdrivers, but that was because a lot of guys were using them as pry bars.
Right. Hence why Matco just came out with those new, what are they called?
The pry driver.
Pry driver.
Yeah. Which actually we kind of did a light introduction on those pry drivers when we did that video.
Right, that's actually the first time I saw them.
I sold like 15 or 20 sets right off the rip. And right now I have, I think, like 5 or 6 of them on the truck. I ironically sold orange faster than any other color.
Really?
2 orange ones, 2 red, and like 4 green, and I sold 2 orange ones in like the first 2 or 3 days.
No kidding.
Which, if you remember, I talk about how green is one of the #1 sellers.
Yes.
For some reason. Orange went quick, that one.
Interesting.
So that was pretty cool. And I haven't had any problems with them so far. So I've put probably 20 out. It's only been a few months. But I haven't had any problems with them. But yeah, that's exactly why Matco was like, we should do a pry driver, screwdriver.
Smart move. And that's still fully warranted, the whole pry driver?
Yeah, it's lifetime warranty.
Figured so.
So, like, it's pretty wild. A lot of guys think that everything is lifetime warranty on the tool trucks. And, like cordless tools and stuff that, like, a nail brush. I've had a guy that brought me dirty socks that had a hole in them. And wanted me to warranty them. Like,
oh, man.
you can't imagine a sock. And I was, are you for real?
Right.
Really?
Right.
And he was dead serious. I was like, dude, I would just give you a free pair if that's how pissed off you are about a hole in your socks that you probably didn't clip your toenails on.
Right. You should have taken the sock and said you'll send them in for repair and give them back next week with some stitching.
Right? Stitch it up. Red stitching. Like, make it totally obvious.
Sew a denim patch on it.
Yeah. So, this was probably, talking about, like, warranties and stuff, One of my biggest horror stories when I was a Snap-on dealer, I was on Richard Road, which I know you know that. That's where we used to have the shop when my father was cutting grass over
Oh
there.
yes.
So that road I was on, selling tools. This guy comes up to me and he's got I'm not kidding you, a 5-gallon bucket slapped to the top full of broken Snap-on tools.
Oh God.
He opens up the door and he's like waddling up my steps, and I had like, you know, a tool truck. There's like 5 diamond plate or 3 diamond plate steps. He's like waddling up with this. It had to have weighed like way more than that little wire handle could handle. And he looks at me and he's like dead serious. Hey, I need to get this warranted.
Oh. Didn't work at the shop. Nothing.
No, he was just a walk-on. I've never met this guy in my entire life.
Of course.
The walk-on guys freak me out as a tool guy because I'm just like, oh, what does this guy have? It's gonna be not fun. So he comes up to my truck and he's got this 5-gallon bucket, and I like peer over, and I was like, no. Like, dude, I can't help you with this. This is gonna take me a week to sort through it. You know, like
Right.
my personal broken inventory. I have a full list, and it takes me about an hour to inventory that, you know, the broken stuff. I can't imagine not having a list on it and just like going through it and here's this, here's that.
Right.
I gotta order this. The guy was like, he was astonished that I was like, I can't take care of this, dude.
Right.
There's nothing I can do. You know, I can maybe take like 5 or 6 of these things. These ratchets and sockets were like ancient.
Of course.
Snap-on actually has a date code on all of their product.
Really?
And it's a symbol. And I actually used to keep the date code in the truck so a guy could say, oh, this thing was broken. And just for fun, it's not really important because it's all lifetime for the most part. And I would look at it and we'd see, oh, this is from the 70s. That's pretty cool. It lasted this long or whatever. And I could tell, like, just because I was a dealer, I didn't even need to look at the date code. But it was like, man, some of that stuff is like from the 60s. Like, how long? You've been holding on to this for 50 years? I'm not going to be the guy to take care of this.
Right.
And, you know, he was so mad. And I gave him the number to corporate. That's all I could do.
Right.
You know,
Right.
like,
Because his tools do still have a lifetime warranty.
Yeah.
It's just you might not be the guy to do the warranty work. Because what would that process go for somebody, let's say, who is not a mechanic, doesn't work at a shop, but has the money to buy good tools, so they've outfitted their home shop full of Matco or Snap-on, or retired, and they just accumulate a bucket full of tools over the course of a year, and they want to get them warrantied out? How would they go about doing that?
So I actually had a lot of guys that I would actually stop at their house, like some retired mechanics and stuff. If it was in my route, and I'm totally cool with that. You know, if you got an old ratchet, come on, walk onto my truck, and like let's get that thing taken care of. And I got no problems with that. That's the way it should be.
Right. Especially considering I'm sure some of those times, those guys are still willing to buy some of the newer stuff.
Yeah, for sure. And that's really how it is. It's no different if you're a mechanic or you're working at your home or you're a retired mechanic and you just see my truck. Yeah, come out. You know, I got no problems with it. There's been a lot of good stories where a walk-on guy has bought thousands of dollars. I had a guy buy a scanner off of my truck.
Not a mechanic.
No, not a mechanic. And it was like, you know, I think it was at the time I was a Snap-on dealer, and it was a Solus Ultra, which tells the audience could tell you how long ago that was. But so you're probably thinking like 3 years ago, and the guy just was like, yeah, I want it. Swoop, swiped his card. And I think it was like at the time like, you know, $4,200 or $5,200.
No
bucks
kidding.
Or something like that.
No kidding.
Swiped his card, which made me nervous because I was like, is this guy's card stolen? So I like did the whole 9, like, all right, I do have to check your ID and you have to sign.
Right.
Like, let me take a picture of
Right.
you. But no, it ended up being good. It was all good. But you do hear the horror stories like that. So you're like, ooh, pro and con. You're swiping your card. But so the walk-on guys are super awesome. So I don't have a problem warranting any of their stuff out, as you should. You know, if you're you being a tech, you're gonna want your stuff because you spent $10,000 with me, or you know, you're a tool guy. You want your stuff taken care of.
Right. That's what makes us money. That's what we feed our family. So
yeah. But to bring a bucket and just expect it, like that'd be like going to Walmart and be like, hey, all of this stuff all my Stanley tools, like, boom.
Right.
Have fun with that, and like
Right.
the cashier just being like, dude.
Right. And you got people that go to flea markets and thrift stores, and they hunt down name brand tools, and they try to get them warranted.
Actually, I got another story for you on that one. I'm glad that you mentioned this. So there was this guy, and I want to say something so bad about this guy. but I'll just skip that part. He's a real weird guy. I'll never forget the guy. Real Jeff Epstein kind of guy.
Real weird.
So he comes on my truck, and I've never met the guy, and he brought me like 5 ratchets. They were all Snap-on. This was when I was a Snap-on dealer again. And he sets them on the counter, and I'm fixing them. And I have one that's like real old. I'm fixing it, and I'm like, man, I really wish this guy would just bring me like, not 5 at a time. Like this is, but whatever. It is what it is.
Right.
I get it. My dad's been the old guy that swaps out the Craftsman and stuff. So whatever. Sometimes you just don't have time. So I get to this one ratchet, and I probably like fixed 2 of them at this point. And I get to this one, and it was military. Military is stamped M dash, something, I don't remember exactly what it was, but it's not fixable. So it was it's contracted through Snap-on. They would get the military ratchets, which you're in the Army, so
right.
You didn't turn wrenches in the Army though, did you?
No, not at all.
No. So did you ever go in like the hangars or anything?
Oh yeah, we had we worked right outside the motor pool, and you go in there and just a tremendous. It was the size of a warehouse, and
yeah.
All of the Humvees and bigger like personnel carriers were in there, and mechanics were everywhere. I'm not quite sure how their stuff was structured, but there were tools everywhere.
Is it a mix, or was it usually like it was very picture perfect, Snap-on?
Picture perfect, and I had never actually gotten to look inside of their drawers, but I would be willing to bet money that there was a cutout where specific things went, and I bet you when they were done for the day. Somebody walked over and made sure everything was back in there. You know what I mean? Let me ask you this. Were those tools serialized inside there?
So no, but like, I don't know exactly how every single spot was because there's so many bases, but I do know that there was, man, it was a lot of years ago now, but, so, it was a school. I went to one of the colleges, and Snap-on like promotes one of the colleges, and I actually should probably get to where I was going. So this guy wanted me to warranty this military ratchet. I'll tell you that in a second. And I was like, dude, I can't warranty it. It's not warranty. It's not lifetime warranty. There's no parts for it. So the military buys the contract. Snap-on builds it for them. Still great quality. They get the same similar product, but it's made by the company, so it's still great. But they just don't get a lifetime warranty because the military, as you know, are like, hey, we're done with it. Throw it in the garbage.
Correct.
And they had, at the end of the year, their budget was done. They have this garbage. They put it all in there.
Yep.
And move on with their life.
Yep.
So technically, I don't even know if you're supposed to have the military technical surplus tools.
Probably not technically, but we both know throwing it in the garbage means a few lucky mechanics, probably with higher rank, get to bring them all home.
Or the guy that had to throw them away. So
the lucky garbage man.
So I was like, I can't fix this one. There's nothing I can do. There's no kit out for it. It is different. It doesn't look exactly the same. The teeth inside, you could maybe parts and mix match and stuff, but like, from what I remember, they were riveted, not screwed. So there's just, as a tool guy that's running my business, there's nothing I can do. I'm not going to piece and part this thing together.
Right.
He was like mad, so mad. Like, he couldn't believe that he just heard that I can't fix this one. Like, it's military. I don't even know how you have this.
Right, right.
And, so that was a funny one. He had some serious words to say about me. He wanted to, like, sue me and, like take everything I had, which was, like...
Of course. The guy who had a ratchet that he obviously didn't even buy.
From a flea market, most likely.
Right, exactly. That's pretty funny.
So what you're talking about is the serialization on the tools. We went to, I forget which college it was, but we did like some sort of like training there, and this is when I was with Snap-on again, and it was so interesting. So it was like a regular Snap-on toolbox, and the whole college, it was a mechanic college basically, like UTI or something like that. Right. They had toolboxes in their bay, and each bay had its own toolbox. They looked like it was a regular Snap-on toolbox, but on the front, and I was a dealer for like 2 or 3 years at this time, so I thought I had seen it all. There was like a number code on there with a digital LCD screen.
Oh, really?
And like you would go in and you beep boop your fucking code. I'll just edit that F word out.
Oh. I'm not used to that.
Right. I think that's the first cuss word we said today. I might even leave that.
That's pretty funny. I was going to say, even if you just bleep it out and leave the rest, that's pretty funny.
Sorry, YouTube. So anyways, so you put in your code, and each code opened a specific drawer. So you would say, like, this is the drawer you want, and you put in your code. It would unlock that drawer, and you'd unlock it, and each drawer was weight censored. So, like, if you took a 10 millimeter socket out, it'd be like -5 ounces. And then you'd use your 10 millimeter, and you'd work on your stuff. You'd put in the code, and then it would reset the scale as if it was perfect.
No kidding.
So, like, that was their way of, like, keeping track of everything, which is pretty cool, but it was like, wow, that's so over the top. When
That's
it comes to,
that's
like,
about as hardcore as you can get.
Yeah.
Considering the military, at the end of the day, will go up. There's a wrench missing. No one goes home till the wrench is back, and they will keep you there for days.
Yeah. So I had a helicopter mechanic, and it's even more, not a helicopter, a jet mechanic, who worked out in the Orlando airport on, like, the commercial stuff. And he was telling me that, like, it was the same thing. I don't think they had, like, the codes to get in the drawer, but, like, they checked out each socket.
Right, right.
And if it had the cutouts and everything. If there was something missing, and say you were working on a jet, like this big turbine, and there was something missing, like a 10 millimeter or 8 millimeter socket. It's probably fractional because it's planes. If something was missing, they were like, all right, find it. And you are tearing that jet turbine apart to find the socket.
Right, right, yeah.
It blows my mind, but I guess it's all safety regulations,
Yeah, especially when it comes to aviation. Both of our very good friends is a helicopter mechanic, and he always has made jokes about, like, working on something, or he'd come over to my house and help me work on something, and I'll drop a nut or a bolt, and you'll just hear that classic tink, 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 and it's like, oh man, his reaction is much different than I'll just grab my magnet stick and find it later. For them, when somebody's going to go in the air, that could be the difference between, living or dying, possibly.
Yeah,
I'm not that kind of mechanic, but you never know.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, that's some crazy stuff. So the military ratchets, this guy, like, lost his mind to the point where, like, I'll never forget him. I remember exactly what he looks like. He drove a blue Malibu, like a '79 Malibu with, like, swipes on the side of it. And it's just because, like, it was such a crazy thing that happened. Like, I wasn't like, hey man, you're taking advantage of the situation. I was like, hey, I can't fix this. It's military. He was straight up like, well, then you can replace it with a not military. Like, I don't even know you, man. So that was actually the shop that I was at. I got off the truck and I was like, oh, that was a weird situation, to my customer, who's a super awesome guy. And he was like, oh, you're talking about that guy. I know him very well, and that's how I know about his more weirdness. And I was just like, wow. He gave me some seriously weird vibes. And yeah, I could still, like, describe the guy. He was like 6'2", black hair, and I called him Despicable Me because he looked just like the Despicable Me villain.
Very interesting looking feller, man.
Yeah, like,
that's pretty funny.
I'll never forget him. And then, like, jet black hair.
It's pretty funny.
I actually told my boss, I was working for a guy at the time, and I told my boss about this guy because it was such a unique story. Like, I've never had such a weird thing happen, and I used the term Despicable Me guy, and he was laughing. One day I was out sick, or something like that, I don't remember exactly, but I wasn't working. My boss calls me at, like, middle of the day. He's like, dude, I just ran into that guy, and oh my gosh, he looks like Despicable Me guy! So that was pretty funny.
That is funny.
I've had some very seriously weird situations on the tool truck. I had another one. This was actually while I was with Matco's, like, my first couple of months in, and this guy calls me up, and he wanted me to show up to his shop. Well, he wasn't on my list of calls, which means, like, I'm not from where my route is. I'm an hour away, as you know. So I don't know my route, and I was like, okay, well, what's your address? I punched the address, and I was like, okay, well, you're on a Thursday, it's super busy, I can't really, like, promise you anything for the next 2 weeks, but I promise you I will arrange my schedule to make it so that I can show up to your shop. And this guy was, like, real Irish sounding on the phone. And these people you never forget either. Like, it's funny, you, like, the good customers, like, they could do something so awesome for you, and you're like, what did that guy do for me? I don't remember. The bad customers, one bad instance, and you're just like, never forgetting you, pal. So anyways, he's like, okay, no problem. The very next week, it's Thursday, and I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot. So I find the guy's phone number on my phone, and I was like, hey man, it's going to be next week. But I promised you, but I've started to work this out a little bit, which I really had. And he loses his mind. He's like, dude, you said you were going to be here. No, I didn't say that. I said I was going to be here the following, next 2 weeks. So the guy's like losing his mind. And I'm like, well, you know what, honestly, dude, I'm not interested in showing up at your shop anymore, then whatever. And I hung up on the guy. I thought that was going to be the last I saw. Like 4 or 5 weeks later, this guy slams open my door on my truck. And he's like, hey! Screaming at me. And like, I'm like caught off guard. Like, I don't even know who this guy is. I don't know what your face is. He starts talking to me, and I hear that Irish, and I was like, I know exactly who this guy is. And I was like, you called me, didn't you? And he's like, yeah, I called you. I need you to warranty out all this. Well, he has an Irish accent, not a, like gangster accent. And he slams this whole set of sockets up on my truck, and I pushed him to the edge, and I was like, about ready to throw down with this guy. Like, you're not going to talk to me like this. And I told him, I was like, dude, I'm not helping you. I told you I'm not willing to help you anymore. You called me, you were MFing me, you were screaming at me. I'm not interested.
Right.
He's like, I'm calling corporate. And, dude, this guy was like trying to fight me on the truck. And the door was open. He's on the steps, and I'm standing by my computer desk. And I was like, you have 2 options right now. You can get off of my truck, or I'm going to kick you off of my truck. And he didn't believe me until I like hiked my leg up like, it's going to happen, pal. And he's like, ooh, okay. And I ended up throwing him my business card, like, call corporate, man. Like, you're a nasty human being.
Yep.
He called corporate like 3 times and complained to the point where corporate calls me. And they're like, what do you know about this guy? I was like, oh, I know that guy is out of control. He's irate. Corporate literally was like, we're blackballing him. We're not going to handle him anymore.
Good.
Like, he called and like cussed out like 3 different customer service representatives. Like, was just nasty human to these people.
So they already know what kind of person he is.
Yeah, they were like, we're not sending a guy to your shop, man.
Right, and you also, even though you do work for, Matco,
I own my own business.
Right, you still are a private business owner, and
Yeah.
in our state, which is Florida, you do have the right to refuse business to anybody.
Yeah.
So, and that truck is your personal property.
Yeah.
You can kick somebody. I'm not a lawyer, but I'm assuming you could legally tell somebody to get off of your truck.
Oh yeah. So I actually talked to a couple other guys, and they were like, you can actually press charges on somebody like in our business. From what I understand,
Right.
I don't know if they sorted it out.
The same reason you can open carry a rifle or a pistol on a motorcycle is because they say that's an extension of your property.
Yeah.
So it's like standing in your front yard.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not a lawyer, not giving legal advice, but I've heard.
Don't take that advice.
I have heard that,
but
like.
if you guys do drive around with a motorcycle and you're like wanting to put a shotgun on your back or an AR-15, like have at it. I want to see that.
I was gonna say, post the pictures up online because I like to see it too.
Yeah. So, what other wild things have you ever seen in the shop? Any tool guy that was like just doing some wild stuff to you? Because I know it's got to be the same on different sides as being like a customer with a wild tool guy that's like irate, or a customer that's irate.
Right. Not to retouch on stuff that we had shown in the Good Tool by Bad Tool Guy. There was one time an incident. Before we get on this, what is your policy or rules on your truck about tobacco use in general? Because this is kind of where my story's going to go.
Oh.
And I think you might know what I'm going to touch on.
I do, and I also can tell you, I'll tell you one after you tell me yours, but tobacco on my truck, you are more than welcome to dip. I can't smell it. That's fine. You do you.
Right.
But, like, if you want to light one up, what are you doing here?
Total 2 very, very different situations.
Yeah, I can smell it, but if you're dipping, like, I don't mind you dipping in a Walmart or a gas station.
Right.
I used to dip, and I did the same thing. Maybe that's why I don't care that much, but...
Right, and it doesn't smell?
It doesn't
bother anybody else, you know what I mean?
Don't, like, leave your spitter on my truck.
Right, you know what I mean? And even if they did, it's still like,
Ew, yucky! There's a cap, hopefully.
Right, yeah, assuming it's in a water bottle,
I'll give my customers that are dipping, like, they come on with no spitter, I'll be like, here, man, I got a water bottle, or here, I got a cup, and I'll stuff a napkin in there for them.
Right.
So, because I understand as a former dipper, So.
Right, and you're a good salesman. You know what I mean? You are trying to in one way,
Yeah.
create a sale.
Yep.
This story doesn't, wasn't me personally. I quit dipping a long time ago, but I had heard a story about a guy who had gone on a tool dealer's truck, and the tool dealer said, "Hey, there's no tobacco in here," and he was chewing tobacco. And there was a little incident that unfolded inside that truck, just with an exchange of words. That's kind of why I was interested. Have you ever heard of any other tool dealers? Because there are a lot of business, silly as it seems.
Yeah.
There are a lot of places out
tobacco.
there. Yeah, I used to dip on airplanes when I was in the military, and then more recently I've read all sorts of stuff online and stuff about a 0% tolerance to any tobacco, which is interesting because there's no smell. It's going inside of a closed container.
I'll tell you one. So like, if it comes to vaping, I'm cool if you vape on my truck too.
Right.
But like those little vapes that you hit the vape and it like makes the strawberry smell or whatever, like that's cool.
Right.
But I did have a guy that got on my truck and he would hit that like one that's like this size and just like suck it in and like smoke my whole truck.
You got the
out.
Halloween fog machine in there.
And I was like, dude, I mean, there's a point where you're like pushing the envelope.
Right. Plus, what is the point? Like, how long are people in your truck? You know what I mean?
Like, what are you doing? I've had a lot of, I would say, like, I want to say it for, like, the viewers, but I've had, let's just go ahead and say, there's been a lot of illegal activities on my truck that I was just like, oh, I don't know anything about that. I don't know what you're doing,
Right.
And, like, this guy some of those guys are just, like, incredible customers, And, like, I'm not going to say that, like, they lay out your set of wrenches and be like, yeah, boy! But, like, you just know that, like, they just did something funky with their finger and...
Right, and now they're in a different mood.
A lot of stuff. So it's like, yeah, I'm just going to look on over here and,
right.
that over here.
Which isn't wrong because your job's to sell tools,
Yeah,
not to investigate what someone else is doing.
Yeah, I don't care what you do is on you, but... you did tell me about the one guy that would like light up a cigarette every time that you would go and get on his truck. How was that one?
Well, this is kind of where I was going with the story.
I thought you were talking about the dipping guy.
Right. Well, I just kind of wanted to get your what your policy was, which I assumed that's what it would be, and I think that's going to be kind of across the board. Because smoking definitely is different than chewing tobacco, considering you can smell it. There's ash that falls out.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that come into play that...
Oh, also killing people that are in the same room.
Correct. Yeah.
Areas.
I've never heard of secondhand dipping.
Alright, so we had to take a minute because the camera died.
Yes, it did.
So we're back now, though. So we were talking about the
Smoker.
The smoker guy.
Yes.
So you had a smoker customer, or you're not a dealer?
I'm the customer. I had a tool guy, who I guess I won't name just for the sake of, he's still a cool tool guy, I think. And every time I get on his truck...
Which brand was this?
This was Snap-on.
Oh, was it?
Yes, it was. I'd get on his truck, and he would be smoking a cigarette. And if he wasn't smoking a cigarette, before I got off the truck, he would have lit a cigarette.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And, I already said I had dipped in the past. I don't care if people smoke whatsoever. It doesn't really bother me, but that's a pretty tight area to be lighting up a cigarette. And, especially if you're trying to sell something to someone and you don't know if they smoke, if they don't smoke,
Yeah. I mean, as we were talking about the walk-on guys, I had the one walk-on that bought that scanner from me. Like, what if that guy was, like, highly allergic to smoking? My wife has asthma, so she can't be in a, like, tight-knit group area with a smoker, It's
right.
She's going to bail immediately.
Yep.
You turn a lot of clientele away. That's pretty wild.
Yep. And it felt dirty on the truck just because of...
Yeah.
Even if he wasn't smoking, you could smell it, and it just had that musty, tarry, nasty...
Like yellow, probably. All the cellophane on your new tool is like that dingy color look.
Right. Just a combination of everything. A little bit of ash where how all you guys have your little area with the computer and like your little office in there. There's always ash over there.
Yeah.
It just wasn't quite what you'd expect, I would say, from a tool dealer.
You remember in like the 90s when we grew up and I grew up here, so I don't know anything other than Florida, but you remember in the 90s, like, we would grow up and they'd be like, smoking or non-smoking?
Yeah.
And you're just like, non-smoking, please. And, like, they would take you and you could see the people smoking cigarettes, eating dinner. Like,
even when we were really little kids, you could go into McDonald's
Oh,
and
yeah.
there was a smoking and a non-smoking section in McDonald's. They had the gold ashtrays on the table.
I kind of remember that, but not a whole lot. My family never took me to the McDonald's, so, like, you know.
we were upper class, so we always did McDonald's on Friday night.
I was a Shoney's kind of guy. But yeah, like, I think back and it's like, what? Who was thinking, like, well, the smoking section, you can smoke, but then the non-smoking, you're not going to smell any cigarette.
Right, like there's a big difference in a one giant open room.
You're going to be able to see everybody that is smoking, but this is the non-smoking section.
Right. Do they still offer smoking rooms in hotels?
There's, God, no way.
No?
way.
Okay.
There's no way. Actually, this is way off topic, but I do remember in Tampa, I was going to get a hotel, and I was going to go see a concert, and I walked in, and the whole entire hotel smelled like cigarettes. But it was like, you know, one of those like $89 hotels, you know, like
right.
cheapest hotel ever. And we got a room, and I'm not kidding you, like the AC was yellow. Like the whole unit, you know, the window that had the white unit on there, it was yellow.
Jeez.
And the mirror looked like it was just like somebody just smoked in front of this mirror for like 20 years. So, of course, we've all had that kind of thing. Well, I wouldn't say of course. I've never had an interaction with this smoking. Actually, I take that back. One of the guys in my area, which I won't name him, he's a super cool guy, but he vapes real hard, and he does the same, like, really just getting into it.
Fat cloud kind of vapor.
Fat cloud vapor. And, like, from what I know is he probably doesn't do it in front of his customers, but, like, I could imagine him also doing it in front of his customers.
Right. And you probably have some customers that are different than other customers. Mm-hmm. You know, some that probably get in and vape, and some that don't. You know, maybe you could be a little bit more picky and choosy.
Yeah, you definitely like gotta cater to. I guess if you're vaping, it's not the end of the world because like it's just a like fruity sensation that you smell. It's not like it's gonna make your whole truck smell like a cigarette, you know.
Right. I think it's just water vapor that those things blow out, anyways.
Yeah. Speaking of a guy smoking, I was man, I hate to keep going back to being a Snap-on dealer, but I had a guy that I was at a truck stop, like a heavy-duty equipment, and this old guy gets on my truck, and I'm not kidding you, he's wearing one of those, like, I don't even know what those hats are for, like, the, I don't even know what, you know, like the round hats that has, like, a bowl, like, older people maybe, like, it's not like the Moose Lodge hats, but it's something along those lines. You know what I'm talking about?
I do not. Not a beret, right?
No, not a beret, but like
a fedora?
No, I wouldn't even call it that. But we'll just say
a weird hat.
It was a weird hat. It looked like a dog bowl on the top of his head. It was like that felt red.
I'm thinking of a chef's hat with like they throw the shrimp in at the hibachi place.
About it, but just a little like half. Either way, the hat doesn't really make a difference. It's just talking about those people that do things to you, and you're just like, I will never forget you. So this guy gets on my truck, right, and he's wearing one of those weird hats, and that's one of those things. And I was like, okay, you know, whatever. I like walk-on guys. We've already mentioned that. And the next thing you know, man, it smells like somebody is smoking a corncob pipe in here. What is the smell? And I'm like, it's so strong. It smells like somebody's smoking it in my truck. And I look at the guy, and I was talking to one of my customers. And this is one of the times that, like, you kind of have to be a bit of a mean person. Because I'm talking to my customer, who's a good customer of mine, and I'm like, whoa, sir! He, like, skated by my customer, and he's walking in the back. And he is in the back of my truck smoking a corncob pipe.
That's outrageous.
Like it's nothing. And so this guy, he's, like, smoking his corncob pipe. You know how they do it with their little hand, like...
Right,
you know,
right.
Nonchalantly. Like, it was already lit. He didn't, like, strike a match.
Right.
And I was like, sir, are you smoking on my truck? And he's like, no. I just saw you take a drag off of this corncob pipe. It's in your hand. And I was like, it's still smoking. And he's like, so? And, like, his whole demeanor changes. He went from, like, no, I'm not smoking, to, yeah, I'm smoking. What are you going to do about it? And I was like, get off of my truck.
Right, right.
And the guy was so mad. He's telling me that, he's like, you are the worst dealer I've ever seen, blah, blah. I was like, whoa. I didn't sell or do anything with you. Like, just take your corncob and get off of my truck.
So this wasn't one of your regulars?
No, that was a walk-on
yeah.
That was extremely hilarious. And Turns out I felt kind of guilty, but not really, because what I did was my own action. Like, you can't smoke on my truck. I work 24/7, well, not 20, 15 hours a day on this truck. I don't want to smoke a corncob pipe. I don't smoke. I don't even smoke a cigar. And he ended up being the shop owner that I was at, his, like, buddy. And he told that shop owner that, oh, he's a bad dealer, blah, 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 blah. But all the guys that were in that shop were like, no, he's actually a really awesome dealer. That guy just walked on his truck and was smoking a corncob pipe, and he was not about it.
Right.
So the owner ended up being like, I guess you shouldn't, like, you're not going to go to Walmart and smoke a corncob pipe.
Right, well, that's what I was thinking. I don't know how he thought that would have been cool, considering he can't go in anywhere else except maybe his buddies. Yeah, with his funky, weird hat.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was like an Elks Lodge member. I don't know.
Could have been.
I'm a little too young to.
Yeah, I don't know what the Elk Lodge is. I know that they got a giant facility on Merritt Island. Don't know what it is.
No, I don't either. Well, we is the VFWs? Any of those old guys wear those hats? They're all like veterans, so I guess not.
Yeah, I think the old guys that are in those VFWs, I think they just wear whatever hat they wore in the military. Because some of the guys wear the berets. Yeah, some of them wear like their patrol caps, and like my dad has this, I don't know what it's called, but it's like a green.
The pea cutter or whatever.
Yeah, and it folds down flat.
Yep.
He told me a story so off topic. On the front of it, they wear their unit patch.
Yep.
And you'll get this coin in the military called like a challenge coin. So like if you meet somebody, they give you a coin. You go to the bar, they got the highest ranking coin, buys them a beer or something. And my dad said, or my grandpa, I can't remember which one, told me this story. What they would do is they would take these coins and they would sew them behind their unit patch. And like if they were ever in a bar and someone was pissing them off, they would take their hat and they would start beating each other with these things because those coins are heavy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And just an odd. I hadn't thought about that story. Chill just now. Yeah.
So, well, you also back in the military. Did you ever get a coin?
Yeah, I got a lot of them actually. I only have a couple that are pretty cool. One of them I got to meet Admiral Michael Mullen. When he was the chairman of the Joint Chief of Staff. I met him, shook his hand, got a coin from him after like a speech he had given. I was one of the young privates that got selected just to go shake his hand. Never said a word to him. Yeah, brand new. As soon as I joined, walked right up, shook his hand, gave me a coin. I think he brings like 50 coins, gives them to like 50 soldiers.
Did he sneak it into your hand?
Yeah.
Like it was a drug deal kind
yes,
of thing?
as he shakes my hand, and that's kind of like how they all do it.
Oh, really?
I actually have a really funny story I'll tell you with a coin here. So like I got one from him. And then I got another pretty cool coin from, there's a lot of sergeant majors overseas. It was the highest ranking sergeant major in Iraq took this coin, right? And like we built a basketball court for these Iraqi children, which is funny because they play nothing but soccer over there, but like we put this giant concrete slab right in the middle.
American sports.
Right. Right in the middle of this concrete slab, we had put that coin. It was like his coin. It said like, our unit on there, which was like, the polar bear, so like pro patria, right in the concrete, like, so cool. It was like in there, and like, we'd go on patrol in this area once in a while and walk over it. And I remember like, things had like kind of turned to trash when we were over there. We were getting ready to pull out and leave, and like one of the very last, if not the very last patrol, like we'd stopped, and like I ended up taking a knee almost directly on top of this coin, while we were pulling security or something. I had this K-bar, like this fixed blade knife that you carry because it's cool, but you actually use for nothing but opening MREs because what are you gonna use a knife? What are you really gonna use a knife for? And we were taking
if you're hungry, I got MREs in the next room.
But dude, I took this K-bar knife and I actually, while we were sitting there, pried that coin out of the concrete and stuck it in my kit just because I figured I'd rather have it than them. And I still have that coin, probably the coolest one. But my dad mailed me, the funniest part of all this coin talk is my dad mailed me a kind of a funny, goof Budweiser challenge coin. My dad works for Budweiser.
Actually, I kind of remember you were telling me about that or something.
Right.
Anyways, go ahead.
He gave me the challenge coin, and we're over in Afghanistan, a little tiny outpost. And we get some super high-ranking people fly in. I don't remember who they are. I'd hate to quote it wrong, but they were really far up, and they picked 2 people from every place that these people landed, and they got a coin. It's just all political BS. Yeah. In the grand scheme of things, it disrupted what we're doing, you know what I mean? But either way, they came there, they landed, and I went to go up there, so what I did, I knew I was getting a coin. I got one of those Budweiser challenge coins, and we went up there, and like they gave us the coin and everything, and like you got to keep in mind,
I do remember this story.
all of my leadership is right there looking at me, and I was like the class clowny kind of like, did have a mouth on me, so all the leadership's like, oh, just keep your mouth shut, get your coin, get out of here. And I got that coin, and like right after they did their little like handshake, take your picture for their Facebook or whatever they're doing, like I was like, hey.
I'm sure it wasn't Facebook, but.
Well, you'd be surprised. And I was like, hey, Sergeant Major, or hey, sir, whoever it was. I was like, I actually have a coin I'd like to give to you. And I just remember seeing all of my chain of command's faces just go from like happy and excited, everything's going good, to just, oh no, like, oh no, don't do anything dumb. And like I was like, gave him this coin, and it did say like, supporting American heroes, like Army, Air Force, Sailor, Marine, Coast Guard thing. Like it was a cool coin. I gave it to him. He told me on his desk where his command is, he has a coin collection. These high-ranking people will have these wooden things that hold their most special coins.
You see that in some of the movies and stuff, but it's like just a blip. Like nobody really catches that. Yeah.
Right. And he said like, he's probably gotten over so many hundred coins in his 35, 40-year career. He said his coin holder only is able to hold like 20 coins. He goes, I will be making a spot for this one.
That's pretty cool.
And I was like, oh wow. I'm really happy you said that, because A, I think I was going to get a little bit of a butt chewing after this, and B, like, no disrespect, it was a cool thing, everything was good, so.
Well, I mean, sometimes it's like you break your everyday just to bring somebody else something that you're definitely appreciating what that guy does. So, how could your chain of command be mad? I'm sure the one guy that was above you was probably the most mad, because he was just like, you made me look like an imbecile.
Right, well, when the poo runs down the hill, he's kind of the guy it lands on. And I slept in the same tent as him.
Yeah, so, you wanted to bring the old neck lights out?
Yep, I know that he has talked about these in other videos. I just bought a pair for myself, and I just wanted to say I have probably every flashlight they make that doesn't attach to your body. They have magnets, and I just recently bought a jet ski. And everything in it is stainless plastic or aluminum. My flashlights stick to nothing. So, I have fallen into the fanboy club of the neck lights. The neck light, the headlight, you can put them anywhere, and I'm pretty excited to get them going. Bright, super bright.
Yep. I mean, I have two of them, and green is, of course, my go-to. If anybody's ever watched this channel, they know that green is always the go-to. That's actually the last set of green ones that I have available on the truck. I have, like, the last time I ordered, I think I ordered 10 green, 10 red, 10 orange, and the 10 red and the 10 orange overnight came, like, seems like. The green, like, I checked the back orders with all this cough stuff going on. Oh, the back orders are insane. They're just, I can't wait to never hear the word back order. But the green ones, they're like 2 more months before they show up. Like, oh my gosh.
It's crazy. Well, everyone says the batteries on these things last forever.
Yeah, so I've had one guy that did complain about it, and he was like, oh, the battery is terrible. But he's talking to me, and they were both on. And I was like, well, yeah, dude, you double your life, turn one off.
Right.
He looks at me dead in the face and was like, I never even thought about that. And then, like, 2 weeks later, I show up and we're just chit-chatting about it. And he's like, actually, that was probably the best advice, because you're never in a setting where you're like, I need all of the light ever right here, focused.
Right.
Yeah, you only need a little tiny bit. I mean, this thing's totally bright enough.
For sure. Absolutely. And it's not ever dark in the shop. No. You know what I mean? This is just for focusing a little bit of extra light in an area you're going to be in for a couple of seconds.
Does your boss let you work on your jet ski while you're off? Or you gotta, like, when everybody goes home, you get a little time?
Yeah, he would let me, as long as all the work for the day is done, you know what I mean, and everything's fair. Yeah, no problem. Because all my tools are up there. Yeah. You know what I mean, so... Yeah.
That's the one thing I've always laughed at, is like some of the mechanics. I feel so bad for them, because it's like... They have all their tools. They have $20,000 worth of tools in their shop. No, you can't work on anything in here unless you're off. And I have a couple of shops that are like, no, you can't work on anything at all. Like, it's a corporate store, like a Midas.
Right.
You're not going to be working on anything after 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock or whatever time they bay doors are down. That's it.
Yep.
Good luck. And like, you have $20,000. You just like look through the window like, oh.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
I wish I could get that 10 millimeter that I could really use.
Right. Yeah, that's a sad truth about it. That's too bad for those guys. It really is.
I was thinking, we had another, oh, I know what story we wanted to talk about. The guy from, the Snap-on guy, that got stolen, that was, like, kidnapped. That was one of the stories we were talking about. So, the guy, the Snap-on guy, in my route was, competitor.
Right.
But he was, I'd consider him a friend. We went to actually Snap-on training somewhat around the same time, so we were like buddies. I came into the Matco world, and I'm new over in my route. I don't know a whole lot of anything, and I had the guy that like knocked on my door and wanted to. I can see you're like not remembering where this is going.
No, I'm not.
It was the parrot guy.
Yes. yes. This is the guy that you go out.
Yes.
In a golf cart.
Yes.
Okay.
So I knew I had to get you back on.
I'm on it now. Yeah.
I just thought I had to look at my phone to remember the topic that we were talking about.
Bifflo?
The Bifflo guy.
Yeah.
So, this guy is a Snap-on dealer, and apparently, I guess I should just say it like in his perspective. So, like, he gets this walk-on guy who's like, "Hey man, come to my shop. It's here's my address." And as a tool guy, you're like, "Man, I want to keep growing my business. I don't want to stay stagnant and keep the same shops. If you've got a new shop that's in your route, go. Well, what's the harm? At least give it a shot." And that's kind of why I did that guy that the pit bulls jumped up on me and everything.
Right.
Whatever. So anyways, this was like his version. And he goes to the shop, and it's a house just in the middle of this nowhere town. Like everybody's house there is like 10 acres or something. I don't know.
Big properties.
Yeah. And he's super confused. He pulls in the driveway, and he's, what's going on in here? So the guy comes out, and he's like, "Hey, man, my shop's in the backyard." So he's like, "Oh, okay, at least this guy has a shop, and it's not just his house." And he's like, "You just jump on my golf cart, and we'll just wheel on over there." And so they jump on the golf cart. They're going through like the woods, and he's all telling me this. I wasn't there for any of this. Actually, the story gets really funny because of a customer of mine. So he's going through this whole like woods, and he was telling me that he was tripping out. He was like, "Man, my truck's in this guy's driveway. It's gonna get robbed. All my tools are gonna be gone. The truck's gonna be on center blocks, no motor. Like the whole thing. Like this guy just totally kidnapped me, and somebody else is out there just taking all my stuff." And so they get into the shop, and he opens up the door. And the two guys walk through, and there's like a parrot loose in this guy's shop.
Like a bird?
Like a bird. And the guy that like basically kidnapped this guy slams the door shut and was like, "We gotta catch my parrot.
Oh
we
my
can't do
God.
anything. As soon as we open the door, he's gonna fly out of here." And he's like flying around the shop, and he said it took him like an hour or something like that to like contain this parrot.
Oh my
to the
God.
point where, like they could actually continue on about doing business.
Hasn't
Like,
even
they
talked
hadn't
tools yet.
Nothing yet. Like, and
Oh
he's just
my
like, what am I
God.
involved in? And so I don't know exactly what happened, from there till then, but this guy, apparently he got back to his truck and everything was good, and he moved on about his day and started selling some tools again.
Did he sell any tools to that guy? Do you know?
I have no idea.
Man, wouldn't that be some funny stuff if after all it was all said and done, the guy picked up a 5-gallon bucket and was like, "I've got some broken tools, buddy!"
Same guy! So, that would be hilarious. So, he, like, we move on, and the story's been done and over with now, and now I'm a new Matco guy who knows the Snap-on guy, and we're friends. We chit-chat all the time. We had lunch together all the time, and we're not like the competitors that are like, "Oh, since you're that, I can't," We
Right. I think I actually know who you're talking about. Is it the guy that we went on vacation with? Is that who you're talking about? No, not that Snap-on guy?
No, he's a different guy. Not that close of friends.
Okay.
So, I'm in one of my shop's parking lots, and the Snap-on guy was actually leaving as I was pulling in. Like, I'm not kidding you. Like, we were doing one of these, and it's very rare that we do because we kind of like. But I saw him like put his reverse lights on and pulling out, so I was like, all right, I'll just pull on in behind him. And this car pulls in behind me, and he gets on my truck. So the Snap-on guy had seen who it was getting on my truck.
Right.
And like, as a tool guy, you're like, "Ha, good luck with the walk-on,"
Right.
And so which actually I have another funny story about that too. Anyways, so this guy gets on my truck, we chit chat, and he's like bad mouthing the Snap-on guy hard, like doesn't want anything to do with the guy. And I was like, well, you know, I'm like a little bit in an awkward situation. I know the guy, and you know, I'd consider him a friend. You know,
Right.
I wouldn't say that like we're buddies, but like, you know, I if anything, he called me, I would help him out. And he's like not having anything. He's mad. Like, I hate that guy. He's so terrible. And the guy ends up texting me. I get a little, oh. And on my screen, it was like a text message, and it said, "Do not go to that guy's house. Call me ASAP."
This is the parrot guy.
This is the parrot
Oh
guy.
my god! I had a feeling that's where you were going
Oh
with
yeah,
this.
so I call him after this guy gets off my truck, and I was like, "What's up, man?" And he's like, "Dude, that guy had me," and he tells me that side of the story. So that's how I know the story. And I'm like, "Oh my god!" He was like wanting me to go to his house.
That's
He's like, "You
wild.
should start showing up at my shop," and he gave me his card and everything. Like this guy like made up a card for his shop address to be like a shop. Like what? How do you get a
Oh my
customer that like
goodness.
does to go there?
Right. I'd be really curious to like find this guy and talk to him and find out like, all right, what is the shop for? What are you working on? You know, what's your clientele? Or are you just pure crazy?
So it gets even funnier. So this is where I was telling you. I have a customer of mine who's an awesome customer, and he was my customer and that Snap-on guy's customer. And I tell him this, and like he's laughing because that's the funniest story I've ever heard. Like
Right.
it's so unfortunate for the Snap-on guy because like that I couldn't imagine being in that awkward situation. But like hearing it, he's good. We know he's good. That's hilarious. So I'm telling my customer and probably this whole dealership. This was a Nissan dealership that this kid works at. And I'm like laughing. I'm like, I can't contain myself. I got to tell you this story that happened. And it was just like just recently after he had told me that. So this was like maybe 2 years ago. I tell this customer this. And I'm not kidding you. It was like maybe 4 months ago now. The customer comes up to me and is like, "Dude, I met the parrot guy."
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, what? So my customer put up an ad on like Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist, which that's probably dead, but he puts up an ad and he's like looking for a shop to rent, and he gets this like reply. He's like, "I got this shop, I got plenty of space, you can rent this bay. I'm right out in Bithlow." And the guy's like, "All right, cool." He like meets up with the guy, and the guy's like, "Yeah, you know, like they wanted to like grab some lunch, just get familiar before he like did that." All right, so we got to go back into it. I think we need to button this up because I'm about out of batteries on this bad boy. But so it died again. If you guys were curious what that little was, so we're talking about the guy. We're talking about my customer,
Right.
who had like ran into this guy, and he's like, so he meets up with this this guy that has a shop or a place to rent out. And he's like, "Yeah, man, you know, you're totally cool. Everything's good. You check out and everything. As long as you don't mind, I have parrots in my shop." And my customer was like, "Oh my gosh, I need to call both of my tool dealers right now because I just found the guy." And my customer texts me, and he's like, "Hey, man, you're not going to believe this." Like, left me on a cliffhanger. But I saw him, like, the next day. I show up, and I was like, "What's up, dude? What's up What's up with the text?" Like, I thought he had, like, some wild broken, like I was using my half-inch impact, and it broke my arm, like, you know, or, like, or snapped in half. You know, something crazy. And he's like, "I met the parrot guy."
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, "Get out of town." And he's like, I was like, dude, everything, like, I was about ready to sign the papers with this guy. And then he said that he had parrots and he lived in Bithlow. And I was like, "Nope, don't want to deal with that guy."
That's so funny. You know what you should say? If this video gets 500 likes, you go to the parrot guy's house.
I'll show the parrot guy this if this gets 500 likes, which is like nothing. I'll like find that guy and be like, "Hey, here's
Right,
a video
that-
about you.
that-
You made me famous." Everybody's talking about hashtag parrot guy.
The parrot guy, the new Tiger King. The parrot guy.
It's probably not quite as wild in real life, but I like to think that it's the wildest thing I've ever seen in a shop. So is there anything else you got left to pretty much say?
No, I had a lot of fun. Thank you for having me on.
Of course. I think this will be, I'd like it to be like a podcast style every once in a while. It's a lot of fun doing these where we don't have to really talk about like tools or anything other than the fact that some stuff that was crazy that happened.
Yeah, we didn't really have any script. We just had, a couple of talking points that we wanted to hit on throughout the thing. I think we covered all of it.
Yeah, for the most part, we added in your neck light. I know that he was like
Yeah.
dying. Like, we got to add it.
Yeah, this was completely unexpected at the beginning, and then the camera camera battery died, and
It's like, do you have one of those?
yeah.
Sure, of course I do. I have 2 in my garage, and I also have a couple in inventory. So, again, Tony, man, I really appreciate you coming out here and doing this with me. Obviously, we're friends, so it's not like it's like the hardest thing in the world, but
Right.
it is a little difficult to shut down your Sunday and, come out here and just...
I had a blast. Thank you for having me. It's fun.
I appreciate the help on the old studio,
I can't believe how good it looks.
Got some of our tools. And if you guys didn't watch the Craftsman video, I told you guys, we all have Craftsman. This is the Craftsman, right? Yeah, we all have Craftsman.
Right. Anyone that says that they don't, is just lying.
Lying. So, I hope you guys liked it, and we'll see you in the next one. Maybe we'll make a podcast thing. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. If I get 27 likes, I might just keep doing the podcasting thing because it's easy.
Good round number, 27.
If I get 500 likes, we're calling the Parrot Guy, and we're going to have him on the podcast.
Oh my god!
Welcome to Primetime Tools. Do you know why you're here? No, because you're the Parrot Guy.
Primetime podcast number 2, the Parrot Guy.
The Parrot Guy. And people would be like, I am totally tuning in.
I definitely would.
I'll let you film it.
I want to be here.
All right, guys. Well, we'll see you out there.